We continue now at the top of Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph in Mesechet Kesubos. This is Kesubos Daf 13a. The Gemara now says that it makes sense that Rav Nachman was the one that said by the money case, if you have Bari V'Shema, the Bari does not win. It cannot be Motzi Mammon through the Bari, when the person says, I'm certain that you owe me money. But we want to say that Rav Nachman could be consistent with Rabbi Gamliel in our Mishnah. Rabbi Gamliel, again, in our Mishnah, said you also had a situation of a Bari where the woman is claiming Mishe Restani Nanasti, and over there Rabbi Gamliel says Namenes, she is believed. And so the question is there, it seems like the woman is believed because the Bari wins. So does that follow Rav Nachman? And on the previous summit, Rav Nachman gave reasons why it's possible that Rabbi Gamliel would agree with him. And the Gemara says it makes sense that way. The Imkain, because otherwise, Kasha Hilchasa Hilchasa, you'd actually have a contradiction in terms of what we paskin. Rashi over here says, Dimkain de Rav Nachman lo mesukim ka Rabbi Gamliel. If you're going to say that Rav Nachman cannot go like Rabbi Gamliel, elok Rabbi Yoshua, he has to follow Rabbi Yoshua, Kasha Hilchasa Hilchasa, then we'd have a contradiction in terms of how we paskin. The Kaim alone, Hilchasa ka Rav Nachman bedini, because we hold that the halacha is like Rav Nachman when it comes to monetary issues. Uvaha Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, but in this case, Rav Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, halacha ka Rabbi Gamliel, that the halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel. Elalav shmami no kedemishani non shmami no. Rather, you see, like we answered, that Rav Nachman could be consistent with Rabbi Gamliel, and the Gemara says, indeed, you see that this is the case. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Hi omeres mukas eitzani. Let's say she says that she's a mukas eitz. The reason why she doesn't have her besulim is because it was an injury. Vu omer lo kele drusas ishat. And he says, no, really this happened because you had relations with a man. That's drusas ish. Literally, you were trampled by a man. And so therefore they're having a similar dispute as the previous Mishnah. Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Eliezer, Omer Menes. Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Eliezer, they say she is believed. The woman is believed in this case. Rabbi Yoshua, Omer, Rabbi Yoshua says again, similar to the previous Mishnah, Lo mi pia anu chayin, we don't live by her word. Ela harezu becheskas drusas ish. Rather, the presumption is she's drusas ish, that it happened through relations. Ashatavi raya lidvara, unless she brings a proof to what she is saying. And Rashi over here says, Derusas ishat. Again, that's what the man is claiming. You're a Derusas ish. Kodem sheirastich, and that happened before the betrothal. So again, he's claiming this was some kind of a mekachtos. And the Gemara says, Tanosayu b'mai. So what are these claims back and forth? How much money of the ksuba is she claiming, and how much is he saying that he really should owe? Rabbi Yochanan says, b'masayim umana. The dispute is she wants 200, and he says, no, it should be 100. Rabbi Lazar says, b'mana v'lo klum. No, she wants 100, and he's saying he owes nothing. Rashi over here says, Tanasayu b'mai mahi tovaso umahu rotzelit. And what is she claiming from him, and what does he want to give? B'masayim umana. So we have Rabbi Yochanan who says it's 200 and 100, meaning he omeres mukas eitzani v'yeshli masayim. She's saying, since I'm a mukas eitz, I should get 200. V'yafa pishalo ikards bi. Now, even though you didn't realize that, v'hu omer drusas isha. Now he's saying that she's a drusas ish. Ve'ein loch elamona, and therefore the amount should be 100. Because savar. So according to this opinion, he holds as follows: Kansa becheskas besula v'nimsas beula yesh l'ksuba mana. That in a case where a person marries someone with a presumption that she's a besula, turns out she's a beula, so she does get 100. That's why the husband's claim is that she should get 100 according to Rabbi Yochanan. And again, she's saying she should get 200. Rabbi Lazar's opinion was b'mana v'lo klum. The dispute is she wants 100. He doesn't want to give anything. He tovas mana. Again, she's saying that she should get a mana. V'hu omer ein lach klum. And he's saying that you should get nothing. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Yochanan Amar b'masayim uman. Rabbi Yochanan says the dispute is between 200 and 100, because Savar Laka Rabbi Meir, he holds like Rabbi Meir, to Amar bein hikar ba uvein lo hikar ba masayim, that in a case where she's, let's say, a mukas eitz, it doesn't matter whether he knew that all along, it doesn't matter whether he did not recognize that that was the case, she's going to get 200, and that's why she's claiming 200. Rabbi Lazar says, b'mana v'lo klum. No, she's only claiming 100. He's saying, I owe nothing. Savar laka Rabbanan, because Rabbi Lazar holds like the Rabbanan, the Amri and the Rabbanan, they say, bein hikarba, bein lo hikarba, whether he was aware, whether he was not aware that she was a mukas eitz, mana, again, she's going to get a mana. And Rashi over here says, Savar lo tana demasnisin deilu Rabbi Yochanan lo shavik Rabbanan v'avik Rabbi Meir. Rashi here points out, when we're saying that he holds, what it means to say is he's saying the Tana of the Mishnah holds. We're not saying that Rabbi Yochanan holds like Rabbi Meir. That wouldn't make any sense. Rabbi Yochanan would not abandon the position of the Rabbanan and follow Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yochanan is saying the Mishnah is following the position of Rabbi Meir. Kasavar Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan holds Kansa becheskas besula v'nimsas beula. In a case where a person marries someone thinking she's a besula, it turns out she's a beula. V'yesh mana, so she's going to still get 100. That's why it's 200 versus 100. Hilkach al karchach mukaseitz demasnis and Rabbi Meir. Therefore, since Rabbi Yochanan holds that she gets a mana in terms of konsa b'cheskas b'sula v'nimsas b'ula, so it's got to be that the Mishnah is Rabbi Meir. The Amar Masayim, who says 200, otherwise it makes no sense. If she's asking for 100 and he's saying 100, then they're agreeing. She's got to be asking for more than what he's claiming. V'hu omer drusas ishat b'yesh lach mana, and he's saying back, no, you're drusas ish, and therefore it should only be 100. The Rabbanan, because again, as Rashi says here, if the Mishnah would be the Rabbanan, lo tava elamana, then she's only claiming a mana. V'hu omer drusas ishat, now according to Rabbi Yochanan, he'd be saying back drusas ish, v'yesh lach mana, and you get a mana. Ma'ika bein ta'anasa didei le'ta'anasa dida. There would be no distinction between his claim and her claim, so it has to be that is the case, according to Rabbi Yochanan. And the Gemara continues, B'shalom Rabbi Lazar, I understand Rabbi Lazar's explanation, lo kamer Rabbi Yochanan, he doesn't say like Rabbi Yochanan, very simply, to kamuki la Rabbanan, because he'd rather say that the Mishnah is following the position of the Rabbanan. El Rabbi Yochanan, my time, alo amar Rabbi Lazar, but what's the reason why Rabbi Yochanan doesn't say like Rabbi Lazar? And the Gemara explains, it's because Rabbi Yochanan holds, konsa b'cheskas besula v'nimtzas bu'ula, yesh l'ksuba mana, that in a case where he marries her thinking she's a besula, she turns out to be a bu'ula, she's entitled to 100. So therefore it can't be again that they're both claiming 100. Hachahu kamar mana v'hi kamar mana, if over here he's saying a mana and she's saying a mana, ma'ika ben taina didei l'taina dida, like Rashi just said, what's the difference between his claim and between her claim? And so therefore it has to be, that's why Rabbi Yochanan says what he says, that she's claiming 200 according to the position of Rabbi Meir. And the Gemara continues, B'shalom al Rabbi Lazar, I understand Rabbi Lazar's explanation. Again, Rabbi Lazar's explanation is she's asking for 100 and he's saying, I owe you nothing. Hainu dekantani tarti, that's why we have two Mishnayos that teach these cases. Chad lafuke midrami bar Chama, one Mishnah is coming to exclude the position of Rami bar Chama, Rashi will explain in a moment. The Chad lafuke midrav Chia bar Avin, and the other Mishnah is coming to exclude the position of Rabbi Chia bar Avin. And Rashi over here explains, Hainu dekatani tarti bovi b'masnisin. We have two cases in the Mishnah over here, two Mishnayos in a row. Gabe plugsa de mamona hi omeres misher astani nenasti, the omeres mukas eitzani. The cases were, in the first Mishnah again, she's claiming that after the betrothal she was raped, and in our Mishnah right here, she's claiming she's a mukas eitz. Why do we have two cases? Chad lafuke midrami bar Chama v'chad lafuke v'chulu. Again, one is excluding Rami bar Chama, and one is excluding Rav Chia bar Avin. He omeres misher astani nenasti. So the first Mishnah, which says she's claiming that she was raped after the betrothal, Tana lemisni ba v'haya mechi mekachtos. The purpose of that is, it's because we want to say that his response is v'haya mechi mekachtos legamri mashma, that he's saying no, it was a mekachtos legamri, ve'ein la klum, means to say that she gets nothing. In other words, his counter argument in that case is that she should get nothing. Le'afuka mid Rav Chia bar Avin, and that's to exclude Rav Chia bar Avin. To Amar Leil, because Rav Chia bar Avin said earlier, konsa b'cheskas besula v'nimsas be'ula yesh lo ksuba mana, that if he marries her thinking she's a besula, and it turns out she's a be'ula, she gets a mana. And so we're saying no. We're saying that first Mishnah to say no. His counter claim is it's a mekachtos, and she should get nothing. Now v'tana hi omeres mukas eitzani. Now what about the second Mishnah about mukas eitz, where again she's claiming 100, he's saying you get nothing? That's lafuka midrami bar Chama. That's to exclude Rami bar Chama to Amar Leil, because he said earlier gabe mukas eitz. He said by the case of mukas eitz avalo hikir bo divrei akol v'lo klum, that if the husband didn't know that she was a mukas eitz, she gets nothing. Now that's not the case. The Mishnah is saying she's claiming she's a mukas eitz, and even if the husband didn't know about it, she's claiming that she's owed 100, and that's to exclude again this position of Rav Chia bar Avin. And so again, what Rashi is saying is that the reason why we wouldn't need the first Mishnah anymore is because Rabbi Yochanan actually agrees with Rav Chia bar Avin. Rabbi Yochanan says, just like Rav Chia bar Avin, that konsa b'cheskas besula v'nimsas be'ula is yesh lo ksuba mana. And so therefore the first Mishnah would not be la'afuke, the position of Rav Chia bar Avin. So again, that's the question of the Gemara. Why do we need both Mishnayos? And so the Gemara answers, one of the Mishnayos is to tell us the strength of Rabbi Gamliel's position that we believe her. And the other Mishnah is to tell you the strength of Rabbi Yoshua in the case that we do not believe her. And the Gemara explains, Kamaisa, the first Mishnah, the one where she says, that tells you the strength of Rabbi Yoshua. That even though over here she also has a migo, as we've mentioned on the previous Amud, still still lo mehemna, still she's not believed. Still Rabbi Yoshua says we do not believe her. And Basraisa in the later Mishnah, lo diacha kochad Rabbi Gamliel, that's to tell us the strength of Rabbi Gamliel, the afagav deleko lememar migo, even though in that case she does not have a migo on her side, mehemna, she is believed. Rashi over here says, diiko lememar migo, what's the migo in the first Mishnah? Very simple. Migo di boyamr mukas eitzani. It would have been much more beneficial for her to say that she was a mukas eitz rather than saying that she was raped. So she has a migo in that first Mishnah, and that's exactly what we're saying. Even with the migo, Rabbi Yoshua does not believe her, and even without the migo, Rabbi Gamliel does believe her. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Ra'ua medaberes imechad. Let's say we see her speaking with a certain individual. V'yamru lo, and they say to her, Mativo shalish zeh, what's the nature? Who is this person? And she says, Ish ploni v'kohenu, it's so and he's a Kohen. So Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Eliezer omrim nem menes. Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Eliezer say she is believed. Rabbi Yoshua omer, Rabbi Yoshua says Lomi pia anu chayin. We don't live by her word. El harezu bechezkas beula l'nesinu l'mamzer. Rather, we assume that she had relations with an asin or a mamzer. Ad shetavi raya lidvora, until she brings proof to what she is saying. Haisamu beres, let's say she's pregnant. V'yamru, and they say to her, Mativo shalu berzeh, this baby, who's the father? And she says, Meish ploni v'kohenu. She says, so and so who's a Kohen. Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Eliezer omer nem menes. Again, Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Eliezer say that she is believed. Rabbi Yoshua omer, and Rabbi Yoshua says, Lo mi pia anu chayin. We do not live by her word. El harezu bechezkas mu'beres l'nasinu l'mamzer ad shetavi raya lidvora. Rather, she's presumed to have become pregnant by an asin or a mamzer until she brings proof to what she is saying. And Rashi over here says, we're talking about an unmarried woman. The issue is, if she had relations with a nesin or a mamzer, somebody who is disqualified, so that actually disqualifies her to kahuna. So that's the issue. Do we say she's disqualified to kahuna? And so they said, no, nemenis, she's believed. And she's still kshera to kahuna. We don't say there's a doubt over here that maybe she had relations with someone that disqualifies her. Haisamu beres, let's say she's pregnant. Begamar mefarish tarti lamali. The Gemara will explain why do we need both of these cases. They seem to be identical. And the Gemara says, "Mai midaberes." What's this language in the beginning of the Mishnah? We see her speaking with an individual. What does it mean speaking? Zeiri Amar Nistra. Zeiri says it means that she went into seclusion. Ravasi Amar Nivala. Ravasi says it means she actually had the relations with this individual. And so the Gemara says, Bishlam Zeiri Hainu de Katani Medaberes. I understand according to Zeiri, that's what Medaberes. She's speaking with him in a private place, seclusion. Elul Ravasi my Medaberes. But according to Ravasi, why would you say Medaberes if we're talking about a situation of actual relations? And to that the Gemara says, Lishna Ma'alya. The Mishnah just wants to use a nicer language. Rashi over here says, Nister Rav Yava Bishalo Ru'asha Nivala. Now, even though we didn't see the relations, Nifsala Lakuna, she would become disqualified to Kuna. Rabbi Yoshua, according to Rabbi Yoshua, Kedalakamon, Demaila Asu B'Yuchsin. That's what we're going to say later on, that they made certain stringencies when it came to Yichus, when it comes to determining what she is, who is she is fit to marry and who she's disqualified from, etc. And the Gemara continues, K'dichsiv, like the pasuk says, Achlu machsa pia va'amr lo pa'alti of. And there also, it's using this language where it's talking about an act of relations, but it's using a euphemistic language. So in other words, we want to use a lishna ma'alya when we're talking about the act of bia. As Rashi over here says, achlo machsa pia means she eats and she wipes her mouth. Alma nokat tashmish b'loshan achila. You see the same idea. We're talking about the act of relations. We're using a language of achila because that's a nicer language. And the Gemara continues, B'shalom Zeiri. I understand according to Zeiri that she just goes into seclusion. So Hainu Dukatani Tarti, that's why we have two cases in the Mishnah. Midaberes Umuberes. We have a case of speaking, going into seclusion, and a case where she's actually pregnant. Rashi over here says, B'shalom Zeiri, Hainu Dukatani Tarti, Midaberes Lo Diacha Kochad Rabbi Yoshua. We're doing the case of seclusion to tell you the strength of Rabbi Yoshua. The Avagav de Lo Ruach Nivala, even though there's no witnesses that saw her have relations, Psula, she becomes disqualified. Umuberes Lo Diacha Kochad Rabbi Gamliel, and Muberes, that's to tell you that Rabbi Gamliel, even in a case where you know she had relations, Rabbi Gamliel still says that we believe her. So again, we understand according to Zeiri, that's why there's two cases, Medaberes and Muberes. Elul Ravasi, but according to Ravasi, where the first case there was for sure an act of relations, so Tarti Lamali. So what's the purpose of both of the cases in the Mishnah? And the Gemara answers, Chadar lahachsher bo. One is to make to make kosher for her. The Chadar lahachsher bebita, and one for her daughter. Rashi over here explains, Bevita bebita im ha'uber hazen nekeva, meaning to say, in the case where she's pregnant, let's say this child turns out to be a girl, so we have to decide whether she is fit for kahuna. We also have to decide whether her daughter is fit for kahuna. So im ha'uber hazen nekeva tinasi lekahuna l'Rebbe Gamliel. We're saying that according to Rebbe Gamliel, who we believe her that she's not disqualified, her daughter also is going to be able to marry a Kohen. Diashminan bididaf, we only had it with her. Hava amina ihi hoel dehava chazaka de kashrus meikara. So she already, in the beginning, the presumption is she's kosher. We're trying to disqualify her. So amrinan ukma chazaka ve'al tafsilena misafik. We say, keep her on her status and don't disqualify her because of a doubt. Aval uber de lo havale chazaka de kashrus eimalo. But the uber was never born yet, never had a cheskas kashrus. Maybe we wouldn't say the same thing. And so therefore, that's why you need two cases, according to Ravasi, lahachshir bebita, to say that the daughter also, according to Rebbe Gamliel, is not going to be disqualified. And the Gemara continues, Hanichol amando amar ledivrei hamachshir ba machshir bebita. That works according to the one who says, we'll see this shita later on, that if she is kosher, her daughter is also kosher. It all makes sense. But according to the one who says that even if she is kosher, her daughter is not kosher, so what are we going to answer on behalf of Ravasi? Why do we have two cases in this Mishnah? And so the Gemara says, Ravasi savar commandamar ledivrei hamachshir ba machshir bebita. Very simply, Ravasi is going to hold according to the one who says not only is she kosher, also her daughter is kosher, and that's the whole purpose of having the second case in the Mishnah. Rashi says, Ma'ikol amemar tarti lahachshir ba lamali. If it's just lahachshir ba, if it's just for her, you don't need two cases. Kevin de medaberes bera'ua shenivala. If the first case anyway, they saw her have relations, it's an identical case. What's the point? So again, the Gemara says you have to say that it's kosher bebita as well, according to Ravasi. And the Gemara continues, Amar le Rav Papa li Abaya. Rav Papa said to Abaya, li Zeiri. According to Zeiri, do Amar mai medaberes nistra. Zeiri is the one that says that the first case of the mission of medaberes is really just seclusion. V'amar Rav Yoshua lo mehemnen. Rav Yoshua is saying she's not believed, then she becomes disqualified. How does that make any sense? Ha'amar Rav, but didn't Rav say malkin ala yichud? Let's say someone goes into seclusion, we'll give malchus on that. That's malchus mardus midrabanan, says Rashi. Ve'in ozrin ala yichud, but we're not going to create a prohibition just because someone went into seclusion. As Rashi says, Ve'in ozrin ichal ba'ala b'shvil yichud bi'alma. Just because a woman goes into seclusion, it's not a reason to make this woman forbidden to her husband. So leima delok Rabbi Yeshua, let us say that Rav is not holding like Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua seems to be saying that we're disqualifying this woman to kahuna just based on the yichud, just based on the seclusion. And the Gemara answers, no, afilu teim Rabbi Yoshua. You can say that Rav is consistent with Rabbi Yoshua, and this is as Rashi said before, Maila asu b'yuchsin. We are more stringent when it comes to yuchsin, as Rashi says, b'yuchsin b'kahuna. Specifically with regards to kahuna, we're actually more strict. So Rav was talking not about kahuna, but our Mishnah, Rabbi Yoshua, is talking about kahuna. And the Gemara continues, Meisvei, we have a question from the following brayso. Let's say we see her that she enters into seclusion with an individual. Rashi over here says, L'seiser mashma yichud bi'alma. Sounds like it was just seclusion, not necessarily that they saw an act of relations. And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Yud Gimel Amud Beis.